the best faction of Andromeda's Edge is the Elders of Dwellenon. Now, why does that faction ring a bell? Well, I was the developer of a game called Dwellings of Eldervale. You may have heard of it. Luke Laurie is the designer of that game. It's an epic worker placement game, and this is the spiritual successor. Andromeda's Edge takes it to all new levels. Now, these elders have read a scroll opening a portal to the Edge. Now, they're going to find out there's no dungeons here per se, but there are dragons. How is this faction of magical beings going to handle Andromeda's Edge? Sergio Chavez, by the way, illustrated not only this faction, but also did a lot of the illustrations of Dwellings of Eldervale. He did the air factions, he did the power board, and he also did the tiles on the table, including the portal. So it's really neat to see him do the portal in space. Now, the Elders of Dwellenon has two powers. The first one is called Prophecy. And in Dwellings of Eldervale, there was a magic deck that was pretty cool, and you could get these endgame cards called Prophecy. And in this way, you get to draw in Andromeda's Edge 3 civilization modules at the start of the game and see what they are. And those sometimes will include endgame powers, but sometimes not. If they don't have an endgame power, that probably means they're a pretty good Civ card that has a lot of track boosting. So you're going to get dealt these cards at the beginning of the game, and anytime you build a development, aka dwell in Andromeda's Edge, you're going to unlock one of these Civ cards and put it immediately in your space station. Of course, then you immediately get to go up the Civ track, which will propel you to cards. But these Civ cards are a very powerful way to play the game, and so the Prophecy power is very fun because you get to see what's going to happen. You can study your cards as you're playing and know that when you get developments, you're going to get these powers unlocked. Your second power is called Spells. We had to give you a magical power, but it's not like you're casting fireballs in space. Instead, you're getting better access to a space called the Monolith of the Ancients. Now, that's a space that actually you trade 2 things to get 3 tactics cards, and tactics cards are they're so good. The secret sauce in this game is the tactics cards. And when you go as the Elders of Dwellenon to use this space, instead of getting 3, you get a full hand size of 5 cards, which is, it's epic. The cards, the tactics cards, include things like battle cards, there's diplomacy cards to stop battles, there's sustain cards, which give you abilities that last until you pull back, there's cool cards that control the timer of the game, but they're really powerful, and then there's things like stealth maneuver, where you can secretly land on a planet, or assume command, where you can take control of a raider, and that's a lot of fun. So Spells is your way of unlocking a lot of the power of the game. Now, we have to give this faction a special ship, and of course we had to give them a wizard. Your upgrade is called the Wizard SV. It's a science vessel, and when you use that science vessel to go into the nebula and get the chance to look at what the next 2 cards are, peer into the future, you also get to summon a ship. You get to open a portal in the nebula and pull a ship into reality. So all of a sudden, the Wizard SV just launches into the nebula, and boom, you have a heavy cruiser. It launches into the nebula, and now you have another transport or a fighter. So you're going to be able to get all your ships really fast. You're going to be able to summon everything with the Wizard SV. I love that power, and it feels really great to get a lot of workers in a worker placement game. Now, why do I like playing the Elders of Dwellenon? Not just for nostalgia, not just for the fact that I think back about making that epic fantasy game, but also the reason is cards. I mean, you get 3 Civ cards at the beginning of the game, which are super powerful, probably one of the most powerful tracks in the game. But you also, which by the way, the Civ track controls the tactics cards, but you also get to use the Monolith for tactics cards, meaning you are the one controlling this game. If you play the Elders of Dwellenon, you are probably flush with cards, flush with options. You're going to want to build developments to get your Civ cards out, and then you're going to want to have an epic engine of cards to use your giant armada of ships. When you play the Elders of Dwellenon, it's definitely magical. I think it was a really fun idea to sort of tap into the legacy of what we've made before with a really fun nod to just not a typical science fiction game, but a fantastical science fiction game. Have fun.